Hello, everyone. Welcome into the Hunter Houston ESG podcast. Now, it is one day past Valentine's Day. I had did a episode after the Super Bowl, but apparently I had incorrectly tried to upload it and it did not go. So I will try to do this again and be as authentic as I can because anytime I have to re-record something, I have to wait a while and make sure I have basically like my feelings and emotions are as fresh as they can be or as they will be, where I'm not like faking it or it feels like, hey, I'm just doing something to redo something. So, first and foremost, congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. Shaquan Barkley brought a lot of class to that team and the Giants. And plus, he played for Penn State University. So, good on him. And Giants are kicking themselves every day, but they wouldn't have got the Super Bowl with him because they didn't know how to use him correctly, and they rode him into the ground. So congratulations to him for getting a ring. Super awesome. Kendrick Lamar did a great job. He is a lyricist. He is not a flow rapper. There is a difference, ladies and gentlemen, for those who don't understand. And of course, as I've said numerous times to numerous people, uh, regardless of what everybody says, this year's the greatest Star Spangled Banner. This year's the greatest American the Beautiful. No, the greatest Star Spangled Banner will forever, or Star Spangled Banner will always be Whitney Houston, and America the Beautiful will always be Ray Charles. If we just put those on a loop and have them sing it, via animation or 3D rendering or whatever, I'm okay with that. And then we can just do past shows. I like to think that an artist where everyone can sing at least five of their songs should be the artist that performs at the Super Bowl. The average person or the person of certain genders or whatever, they only know one song from Kendrick Lamar, and and they don't really know it. They just know the beat because it's a very common beat, which is "They're Not Like Us." Okay, that's it. And then A minor, they couldn't even rap, 5 bars from that song. If their life depended on it, mostly. So he did a great job. It's a different type of rapper. I mean, if you listen to him from 2015 up until today, his style really hasn't changed much. It's just, again, he's a lyricist. Um, it's a different style. Now, moving forward, there is a lot of things that have happened over this week, positive, negatively. Apparently, the Ozempic. There have been some tests done, and this is before we get to the PlayStation news and the gaming news. So, to the gamers that are watching and the gaming show that I promised to many gamers off of the Facebook page and the Instagram, you can check the links down below and follow those pages if you like. Sometimes you may like those things, sometimes they may offend you. That's just how things work in this world. I'm not perfect. If I was, I wouldn't be bald. Now, um, apparently, there's been a study, allegedly a study done, that Ozempic has caused some people, and this is allegedly from the studies, to go blind. So if you are an Ozempic user and you are using it for certain reasons or certain things, then there's a good chance you might go blind from the use of Ozempic. So please talk to your doctor and don't be like, hey, I'm buying it illegally for a weight loss cause or something like that. But there has been studies showing, and I believe type 2 or is it type 1 diabetes is also a sign of going blind because from diabetes. But be careful with using these experimental drugs for either weight loss or just for goofy things in general. Now, moving on to something that's more important than that, PlayStation State of Play. Now, it starts out with very dramatic, and it is very dramatic because it starts out with Monster Hunter, which comes out February the 18th. I mean, excuse me, February 28th. Everybody wishes it was the 18th. Like 2 more days, woohoo! No, 3 more days, woohoo! No, no, no. It starts out with that, shows great graphics, and if you watch or if you played the beta, that was because there were two different betas. There's one for people that had premium a couple of months ago, which I was a part of that, and then for the people who just regular people and they're kind of working out the bugs. Graphically, it's still pretty. Very clean to be a small game, and they're trying to follow their tried and true kind of things, and it's something that everybody can love, but you have to be a part of that community. You have to allow yourself to be a part of it because there's tons of people who will help you. So all I can say to you is if you are into playing games with other people, um, working together to defeat monsters and getting grub, so forth and so on, that game's for you. Now, they showed off as well for the state of play, which I'm very excited for it because it's August the 25th, if I'm correct. Could be wrong. I'm probably correct. Metal Gear Snake Eater, or whatever they want to call it, but Snake Eater redone with today's graphics. It looks like they've changed the gameplay to be better. So that's awesome and amazing. And that's super cool. And the fact is that the voice acting has the original voice actors that have come back. And it felt like they put like a modern spin on it. And this could be done by the fans because who knows who's actually working on it from the original. But you could tell it looks like it has some inspirations of Splinter Cell to it or aspects of Splinter Cell to it, and that's dude, that's gonna kick butt. That's gonna be awesome and cool. For those who ask me sometimes what I'm drinking, today I'm drinking a ginger ale, or should I say ginger and lime, which has no sugar in it. Super good for you. Strongly recommend it. I think it's like $6 for like a case or whatever. Definitely worth it. Check it out. Well, it's probably it's more expensive than that. I just got it on sale, but that's definitely worth getting. So for those who like that stuff. Oh, and the cup I'm there you go. The singer of Spanish lore. Ooh, Spanish lore. Muchas gracias to our Spanish community out there that listen in Guatemala, Argentina. Um, I don't know if Argentinians consider themselves Spanish or not. I should look that up, but definitely Guatemala. So thank you guys. Shout out to our German community. Guten Tag or Wie geht's? Um, and then of course some people like that. It's like five people listen to us in Australia for some reason. Um, and that's only maybe because you like my Cheech Martin impersonation, or because I thought put another shrimp on the Barbie with Cheech Martin, who happens to be Spanish, who's in their thing. I did the couple episodes where I've given a shout out to that movie, Shrimp on the Barbie. Definitely see that movie because Cheech Martin is unbelievably funny. The lady in it, I cannot think of her name, but I think she may be from Great Britain or whatever, or she does play an actress like that or because she's trying to be from Australia in this one, but she used to be on Dynasty when she was young, like a young kid. So that's kind of cool. That's where I know her from anyway, because I'm an old dude, bro. Now back to the state of play. So they show off Metal Gear Snake Eater, more or less, and it's unbelievably beautiful. The character models are a lot cleaner. The detail, I think they're using Unreal Engine 5. I expect a lot of great things from this. I expect the gameplay to be much better. Yeah, I don't think they, because if it was Hideo Kojima doing it, he'd probably do like a shot for shot, like, all right, we're just gonna make it look good and make it still play exactly the same. And that's effing lame. If anything, it should play like the last Splinter Cell game that came out, which was unbelievably amazing. And if it plays like that, man, you will be playing that game for years and years and years to come because that game is amazing. And then added the Metal Gear aspects to it, like hunting food or blah blah blah. Another thing is Sega showed off three different games. Now, for those who saying who's if you're a young person, you may not know that Sega used to be a competitor to Nintendo, PlayStation, and to Xbox. Actually, Xbox is what basically helped put them out of business because the last Sega system, if you own a Dreamcast, ladies and gentlemen, you can look on the back of your Dreamcast, you can flip that sucker over, and you know what's going to say on the back of it? Microsoft. Microsoft helped build the last system for the Dreamcast, and that's when they decided, hey man, let's get in this business because there's a lot of money to be made. Well, they made a lot of money on the Xbox 360, but the first system, the Xbox, which is a good Xbox 360 and Xbox were both amazing systems. It was the Xbox One was like, what the hell were you doing? It's like you didn't even try. And then for the newest one, the Xbox X series is like, you're just more or less a glorified publisher now. They don't even publish games for your own system. But I digress. Let's take this back to the PlayStation. So, for those who don't know, Sega has three new games getting ready to come out. The state of play showed off everything. So they're going to have Shinobi, which looks unbelievably good. It's a side-scrolling Shinobi game from back in the old days. So think of Shadow Dancer from the arcade, which was a side scroller that was very good back in the day, or Shinobi 2. Yeah. Shinobi 2 for the Sega Genesis. So you can think of those two games, but with a faster pace onto it, more like a Metrovania style. But it was before Metrovania, if you ever played that. So the Castlevania stuff actually is from the old Shinobi games. Um, Now, with that said, Ninja Gaiden will also be coming out too, but that's nor here or there. And that's from Platinum Games. It's kind of doing the same thing to an extent. Now, not only that, they're getting a new Sonic Racing, which I don't understand why. I like Sonic Racing, but it didn't have the rubber band effect of what Nintendo does. So if you've ever played Mario Kart and you're in the lead, it won't give you anything good. And if something hits you, if you're playing against a computer, never be first until the very end because they have a slingshot slash rubber band effect that will put you in the lead if you are above two or like you're in the third spot and you're like on the last lap. And even if you're not on the last lap, if you get something good, don't use it until like the last lap and then wait till you get the very last, mystery box or whatever. Use that, then pass all the guys, and then you can win. Otherwise, they're not going to let you win. But still, rubber band effect. If you're, far away from first place or you're very close to it and you're not in first place, it will always keep you into it. So that way, you'll want to keep replaying it, and it's smart because if it went by, it's like, oh, well, you suck and you're in last place all the time. No one's going to want to play that game, and it'll have no replay value. I'm like, I don't want to play. This is trash. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And to me, with the last Sonic Racing, they didn't do that. Where if you made a mistake, you were pretty much out of that game. Hopefully, they've learned something. I mean, sometimes Nintendo and Sega do work together. It's like, let's do the old rubber band effect. Yeah, you should. Now, one last game they have coming, which I would like it to be like a new Knights game, which would be cool, but it's not Knights. It's not Jet Set Radio Future from the Xbox, which never got released on any other system, even though Jet Set Radio or Jet Set Grind got released. Oh, well, Jet Set Grind was a Japanese one, but Jet Set Radio got released on everything numerous times. Jet Set Radio Future was only released on the Xbox, which is very sad because that game's unbelievably awesome. And the soundtrack was done by the Beastie Boys, for those who don't know. But it's not that game. It's not Fantasy Star Online, which was also awesome too. No, it's just another Yakuza game. Uh, and then Yakuza add-on from the Yakuza Infinity. Those guys are just going to be in Diver Dave. Now the Yakuza game is going to go off to Dojimon. Uh, I can't think. I don't know if I'm saying the guy's name right, but it's the guy that has the eye patch from all the other Yakuza games. It's kind of the crazy wild guy, and he's kind of doing like a pirate thing, which just seems kind of cool. And I will get that game. The demo, actually, I think the demo did come out Friday, so I need to actually download that demo. Because allegedly that demo was supposed to come out Friday. So I will look on my PlayStation. Actually, I'll look on my PlayStation right now and see if it did. So let's see. Here's my controller. All right, let's check that real quick, guys. So let's see if the demo for the pirate version came out. All right, let's go down. A new Dynasty Warriors Abyss, which is basically Dynasty Warriors Goes to Hell. Lame. Demo. Yep, there it is. Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza. All right, let's go ahead and download that bad boy while I'm talking to you guys. Bingo. And it's almost 14 gigs. That's pretty cool. All right. Back to Rise of the Ronin. There we go. Let him sit there. All right. So we got that going on. That's pretty cool. Did that in live time. Now, so Sega has that going on, and hopefully I will try out the demo and love that demo. Now, if you saw in the background, before I had moved to this, I was playing Spider-Man 2. I finally beat Spider-Man 2 with my child. And needless to say, yeah, the writing's kind of piss poor on some of the things and some of the chapters, and you can tell that a certain group of Canadians who are outsiders worked on it, which would be Sweet Baby Inc. And you can tell from some of the writing, from some of the character development, and certain individuals and how Peter's treated. Has he's confused and weak, and uh, needless to say, it leaves the chapter open for a third chapter of the game. Fine. I think the game was okay. It wasn't bad. Miles is a great character. Pete's a great character, and I did not basically spend any really points on Miles or Pete that were separate. I spent all my points on them having everything that they share together, so it made it much more easier. I'm gonna do a game plus, but it wasn't bad all in all. But I finally beat it, so woohoo to me. Not bad graphic wise. Not the most impressive game I've seen. I've seen more impressive games, but for what it is, and you can tell at the very end, and I will give this away. So, spoiler alert to anybody out there. So, if you haven't beat it, you may want to step out for at least 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes. I'm gonna start counting down. One, two, three. Okay, so at the very end, Mary J is like in front of her computer and she's doing a blog, and she's like, this podcast is the new norm. And basically, it's talking about, trying to compare, I guess, what happened in COVID, because I guess when this was written, it was during COVID, and this is the new norm. And it was like, really, because, we're way far away from that now. And I was like, F you. And, the whole, every conspiracy theorist, hey, yo, has been proven right about this coming from X, Y, and Z, so forth and so on. So screw that piss poor writing from those Canadians. And yes, I will always badmouth Canada, except for three things. One, the beautiful women. I will never badmouth those beautiful Canadian women wrestlers or Canadian women in general. Two, Brian Adams. Dude is awesome and amazing. Three, Rush, because Rush is awesome and amazing too. Outside of that, screw Canada. There you go. Now, so the state of play showed off some other games too, and they showed off this one that takes place in Great Britain, and I can't think of the name of it now because I don't have my notes in front of me because I had erased everything. Because I did a show, and like I said, I didn't want to sit there and copy the exact same show. So this lady, it's kind of like futuristic tech, but yet she's wearing armor. So it's kind of, you're trying to fuse old with new, which seems kind of cool and seems kind of awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I'll have to play a demo for that. I mean, would I get it? If I see gameplay, yes. But was I impressed with the PlayStation show? Not really. I mean, it had a few good videos here and there. I mean, probably the best thing was DLC for Liza P. For those who are not familiar with Liza P, it is a game. Uh, Basically, it's a like a Dark Souls game, but it's like a very dark take off a Pinocchio story. And if you're familiar with Dark Souls, then you know what I'm talking about. And this looks like, it looks like DLC, to be honest with you. It does not look like a new game. And it's Liza P overturned. And I look forward to it. You're going to be doing a ton of different boss battles, which is super cool and awesome. Now, for those who have basically praised my, which I don't know why you would, I am not a great player when it comes to Black Myth Wukong, but I got a lot of praise for like my hard work in Black Myth Wukong, and I appreciate that for the videos I posted. And there are far better people to watch or to give praise to. But for those who don't know, I haven't really talked about it in a very long time. Is that they released DLC where you can go back and just fight nothing, just, just do nothing but boss battles. So you can go back and do a boss battle with yourself being completely ranked up. Now, note you can set it for any difficulty. It's still hard, even when you being maxed out, thinking, I'm gonna go in there and just whip this dude. Nah, homie, it's still gonna be tough, especially if you hadn't played it in a while. Because I hopped on it like about a week or two ago, and I'm like, oh yeah, let me try one of these earlier bosses from like the first stage with my bull crap. Man, I got wrecked. I got wrecked. Actually, no, I stand corrected. It was the second stage. It wasn't the first stage. The first stage, I was just like spanking them like they weren't nothing. Because first stage is always like easy, even if you set it on hard, because they're not too complex. Where if like you get to the second stage, bosses are a little bit more complex, and you have to be more familiar with their movements and styles. And then, regardless of what you said on, they're still unpredictable. And that game's like, oh, you set me for easy, but guess what? I'm hard. Oh, you set me for hard. Guess what? I'm still hard. So like if the game only has one setting once you pass the first stage, hard. But is it amazing? Yes. So for those who like Black Myth Wukong that haven't been playing it for a while, didn't know, download that update. Now, speaking of updates, PlayStation Premium has a few games coming out, but the game that you should look forward to if you haven't played it, and I talked about Dark Souls earlier, is Jedi Survivors or Survival. Is it Survivors or Survival? Survivals. Let's see here. Survivor. Jedi Survivors is coming to the premium people. So if you are a premium member and you don't like physical copies and you didn't spend the $70 to buy it when it came out, or the $60 for the PlayStation, excuse me, the PlayStation 4 version, then you may want to pick it up and play it on premium for, I think usually premium contracts last for 6 months and then they're out of there and they switch them out. That's usually how that kind of works for some of these games, or three. I think it's 3 months contract most of the time. But check that out. Good game. I'm on the third stage now. Yeah, I'm on the third stage for that. So I'll let you know when I beat it. I like the game a lot. It's really super hard. Um, and it's not only like it's hard, but the puzzles are hard too. And I'm like, man, just give me a break. And then it's like, oh yeah, well, if you beat the first game, you should be able to beat this one. Yeah, but the first one like wasn't like super hard. This one is like they had time to like refine the hardness. But I digress. Now there are so many things that came out for the PSN show, but overall, I mean, I'm gonna talk about some Onimishu because I know people care about Onimishu too, and the next one coming out. And the next one doesn't have a release date, so if anything, it's probably going to be March or February of 2025. Onimishu 2 is coming out in at the end of April, or allegedly the end of April, and it's a good game if you ever played the original. I would really like them to work on doing, if Capcom's bringing back a lot of these older games and just cleaning them up a little bit, because I still have Onimushu 1 for the PlayStation 4 on disc, and it's not even that clean. I mean, it looks like a PS2 game, but being run off a PC. I mean, you didn't do anything. I mean, it's not a remaster. It's just like, hey, all we did was basically just ran off emulator, put it to a disc or put it to digital, and we're just going to charge you $50 for it or 49.99. I think this one's going to be 39.99. It's like, well, they're like, I don't think we can get away with charging a full price for a game that was just basically emulation going on anyway. So we'll charge 39.99. Now I look for number three to come out because number three was really beautiful and awesome. And then of course the Onimishu Dawn of Faith, it's Dawn of something or another, and then Guardians or Dawn of the Guardian or whatever, and then the fighting game, which was like Smash Brothers but with Onimishu. So that was pretty cool. And then hopefully they'll release Beautiful Joe, Chaos Legions, or just redo Chaos Legions. That was a good game. And then Piano 9, which was a GameCube game. So there's a lot of good games that I would like them to release over again. Hell, I'd like Square Enix to release the Bouncer. I love that game, dude. Especially if you do co-op on it. This Bouncer was super awesome. Actually, play it on my PS2 all the time. Like that game. Just it's a cool game. But only miss you. They showed it off. Like I said, it looks good, but who's that really for? That seems more like a money grab. Oh, and they will be redoing, allegedly, Residence Evil 5. Actually, I don't even think they're going to do 5. I think my money's just they're just doing 6. 5 is one of those things they want to leave alone because it's controversial. Because apparently there was a controversy even when it came out that black people cannot be zombies. Now, I am old enough to remember where a black person couldn't survive in a movie if it was a horror movie. It wasn't until Deep Blue Sea, I think it was Deep Blue Sea, with Samuel L. Jackson and LL Cool J, that a black man survived a horror film. True story. And it happened to be LL Cool J. That's what even makes it cool. It's like he's so cool, he survived a horror movie. I mean, Busta Rhymes, I don't even think Busta Rhymes. I think maybe Busta Rhymes did survive the Halloween or didn't survive it. I'm not sure, but I know that LL Cool J changed the game when he was the only black man to survive a horror film. And it was pretty cool. And that was a cool movie about sharks. Because everybody thought Samuel Jackson was going to be the hero, and like, I've been through this, and all of a sudden the shark comes up and snags his ass. But so that's kind of the Jaws, man, just grabbing people. And PlayStation to me has not really grabbed anybody where it's like they've shocked you into wanting to do something else. There's like there's this one that you keep seeing on PlayStation Network, Wu Chang, over and over again, and it keeps showing all these trailers, but there's no release date for it. They're like, oh yeah, there's this kick-ass girl, Wu Chang, and she's fighting all these demons and monsters just from 505 games, but no release date. Split Fiction looks unbelievably good. So apparently, that's the one main game that I'd like to really talk about a little bit. There's two sisters, okay, and they're both, I guess, writers. And one writes more about dragons and myths and creatures and medieval stuff, and the other sister writes more of a futuristic style and more of a gray style. And and I guess their upbeat personalities, or one's upbeat, one's dark, or whatever. And so you're going into each different world trying to find a world that maybe brings them back to each other, or I'm not really sure, but it looks interesting. I think that game's going to be awesome. State of play again should probably be, I'll give it a 6. um Now, moving away from the state of play and focusing on a Val. Now, if you are a Xbox pass holder, well, you're happy because you get to play a Val for free. Now, if you actually paid big boy money for it, it's like a first person Harry Potter from the new Harry Potter game that came out, or Hogwarts game that came out. I mean, everybody wants to say Harry Potter game, but it's the Hogwarts Legacy game. But it's in first person where you're chanting all these spells. And again, this seems like something that could be fun if you're playing it in VR. But I don't think that playing it without VR really adds up. But hey, I haven't played it yet. I have the Xbox Pass. I'll be trying it here soon. But I figured for those who don't know, you may just want to just Game Pass it. Spend the $20, Game Pass it. Go from there. See how things work out for you. Whew. Valentine's Day has passed and gone, and very upsetting because I wanted to. 'Cause I had put that in my little thing, and I wanted to talk about it. And that and Ghostbusters 2, which the theme song from Ghostbusters 2 was from Bobby Brown. Too hot to handle, too cold to hold. Call the Ghostbusters in the control. Got a grip, got a hoop on back on the back, and they split. Not about Beetle. Try to battle my boys. It ain't legal. Oh, ow. So, but enough about Bobby Brown and when he left New Edition and had that little hit, which was actually a hit, believe it or not. Um, in the very beginning scene when Peter Venkman, which is Bill Murray's character, has a woman who's a psychic, and she's like Notre Dame. She's trying to predict the future, and it's like, So when do you think the world will end? And she's like, the world will end 2025, February the 14th. And, the very somber Bill Murray is like, Valentine's Day. Bummer. So the joke doesn't work now because it's past the expiration date, so it's kind of annoying. But I thought that was unbelievably funny, and that should be brought to the show. And if you've never seen Ghostbusters 2, it's unbelievably funny in its own right. Actually, if you look at the original script, it was so much better and darker. I mean, it was dark, dark. But apparently, the studios were not going to give them money. In other words, it's like, well, we don't want to be that dark and you know demonic or whatever they were doing. So it's like make it more fun. So that's what you got. Like, and again, this movie's old enough where I can spoil it. So the Statue of Liberty coming to life and fighting for good, or fighting for bad. Yeah, fighting for good, which is like that's dumb. Good energy, good positive vibes versus negative vibes. Because the world is full of negative vibes and positive vibes, but you still could have changed that and made it a little bit different and not so hokey and whatever. There's things that could have did better. Now, my brother, who just recently went, and so I'll shout out to CCR. Um, he's currently in Houston, holding it down. I hopefully will go visit him sometime soon. I don't know. My funding is looking really bad. Having to buy a bunch of stuff around the house and spending unnecessary money, not unnecessary, but to keep the roof and everything afloat. So yeah, there's those things there. But hopefully, I will go see this guy. But he just went and saw the new Captain America movie. Now he saw it for Valentine's Day, so I talked to him. I asked him, "What'd you think of it?" And he said, it's okay. I mean, you watch it." And usually he's a big fan of the Avengers and the Captain Americas and all those stuff. And he's just like, you can watch it. It wasn't like, oh, it changed my life. I left the way feeling more patriotic. USA, USA, USA. No, it was eh, you can watch it. So until I see it myself, I will take my brother's opinion and just go, you can watch it. So Anthony Mackie, hopefully he did a good job because I asked my brothers like, "What do you think of Anthony Mackie's performance?" Like, you could tell he really tried. I don't know what that means, but you can tell he really tried. That's like that one kid, it's like he keeps getting everything wrong. It's like you really tried. You did a good job. We're so proud of you. Now, I'm just going to say for now, it is a 7. Like every girl who, is like below a 3 but calls themselves a 7 anyway. Yeah, it's a 7. Now, moving on past that movie and going on to music of the week. Now, I have talked recently about New Edition, talked about Troop, I've talked about Shy. But you know what? I hadn't talked about Teddy from Backstreet. And he was also with if I because I'm not sure if he was with him for a very long time, but I'm also sure he was with Guy at one point in time. So I would recommend check out Ted. And I can't think of Teddy's last name right now, so I'm just calling him Teddy. From Backstreet, from Guy, and I think he wrote a whole bunch of other songs too. If you like that style of R&B. Now, if you're not into R&B and you're into, let's say, you're into rock music or you're into techno or techno pop. There's an old school pop artist group or techno pop artist group, Tattoo, which are two Russian girls that pretended to be lesbians, but they're not lesbians. It was just a gimmick, order to like be weird at the time because that was a big deal, and sell records, which they sold a ton of records. And these are two attractive Russian girls. So shout out to them for doing that and fooling the world. and taking a song from the Smiths and putting their spin on it. So, and then for rock and roll, Chubby Checkers, man. Uh, Come on, baby, let's do the twist. And he's also had other hits. Now he is up for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I think he should get in. Now only 6 bands can go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, if I am correct. And there's a laundry list of names this year. You have Bad Company should be in. They should have been in years ago, man. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame sucks for not putting them in years ago. You had Fish. For those who don't know, Fish is like I guess a newer version of the Grateful Dead. Um, so they're a hippie band. They're not bad. They're not great. But they're not bad. They do hippie music. I've never been to one of their concerts. I know, like when Grateful Dead was around, and I was a young dude in New York. If you went to a Grateful Dead concert, you're you're getting a hippie chick, man. Those were just handed to you back then. Like those same hippie chicks would probably find me now. It's like, I remember you. I remember you. You claim to be a hippie. That's right. Joke's on you, pal. Wasn't interested. Just interested in something else at that time. Boom, boom, boom. But but yeah, so I don't know if they're like Grateful Dead. I know, like, I've been, like I said, when he was still around, I went to a couple concerts, and thank you, Jerry Garcia. Thank you, Grateful Dead, for those wonderful, weird, weird memories that I don't even remember half those memories. All I know is just it was like shooting fish in the barrel, bro. Appreciate that. It's so easy. Uh, yep. Fun times. My child ever listens to this when she's adult, she's like, "Daddy was a player." Yes, he was at one point in time, a long time ago, in a land far, far away. But back to people going to the Hall of Fame. So you got Mariah Carey as well. You have Outkast. Now, again, it should just called the Music Hall of Fame because both those people deserve to be in. Mariah Carey could have been in even before she did like her fantasy album and a couple other albums, just based off her earlier work. When like the album that had Hero on it, on All I Want for Christmas, she could already been in the Hall of Fame just for that alone. But I digress. Um, Now, Outkast, you don't even have to think about Outkast commercial success albums with him and Big Boy when they did the double LP album. You could think about their earlier work and based off their raw, pure talent of rapping and their flow and being like one of the biggest bands in Atlanta and get Atlanta and Georgia on the scene before anybody else ever got on that scene. Um, this is before Jermaine Dupri, everybody else got on the scene. This is even before Chris Cross got on the scene. Um, even though Chris Cross was pumped up bigger than them, they were more underground. They were like southern. They were like the southern version of Wu Tang Clan back in the day. For those who don't know, I mean, and this is before like Pastor Troy got on, so forth and so on. Um, so shout out to Outkast for being unbelievably amazing artists, and they will be in the Hall of Fame. Then you have Cyndi Lauper. She should have been in the Hall of Fame long ago, but she's only got like what 3 songs that you know. I can only think of 2 off the top of my hand: "Time After Time" and "Girls Want to Have Fun." So that's made her a ton of money. So woohoo to her. I don't know if she would go in or not because only 6 bands can go in. Chubby Checkers, he's got to go in. Come on, baby, do the twist. He was a great guitar player. I know he has other hits. I can't think of them right now. I'm just going off of that song, but that song has been around since like forever. Put him in based off that, and then Soundgarden. I can't put Soundgarden in because Chris Cornell's dead. So it's like, why would I be doing that for? It makes no sense. And Billy Idol. So if I had to pick, and you can only put 6 in, Billy Idol, Bad Company, Chubby Checkers, Mariah Carey, Outkast, and then it gets tricky for your last one because, like, who deserves that spot? I mean, I don't know if I could really pick. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't pick that spot, but I know who I want in. I know who would be put in. So to me, I guess that spot could be left open or closed up. And I might be wrong. It might be only 3 people who get to get in per year. But I'm pretty excited for those who are going in. Like I said, Bad Company should have been in a long time ago. Of course, Outcast. Of course, Mariah Carey. But I just don't see Cyndi Lauper going in. If she goes in, great. I'd put Weird Al Yankovic in before I put her in. At least you know more than 2 of his songs. You at least know 5 Weird Al Yankovic songs. You know, I mean, again, if anybody listening to this without Googling it can name more than 2 Cyndi Lauper songs and put it in the chat or send it to me, then great. But if you can't, because I know everybody knows at least 5 Weird Al Yankovic songs off the top of their head. You have um uh, spoiler alert, so I'm not cheating or anything. It's off the top of my head. You have Eat It, Like a Surgeon, and these are all like early '80s before he started doing the big ones. Okay, you have Eat It, Like a Surgeon, I Lost at Jeopardy, um, I'm Fat, um, Smells Like Teen Spirit, their Nirvana song, Amish Paradise, the Jedi song, um, the one making fun of Kanye, the Star Wars song. That's like 9 songs, and there's more. I know more than that. Conspiracy theorist song, which is 10. I can't think of the name of it, but that one's pretty good. And he's done so many ones. I know Michael. They said Michael had kind of a problem with it, but he didn't really have a problem with it. 'Cause, got that money. Everybody likes those royalty checks. Uh, as much as they say they don't, they like their royalty checks for getting that because you do have to break them off a little something like, hey, I made a little money, you made a little money. So it is what it is. I mean, what's it? Al Michaels, the famous sports announcer, had said one time on the Dan Patrick Show. I'm gonna bring it back to sports here for a second. That every now and then he goes to his mailbox and he gets a check for $45 to $80, and it's from a little film called Basketball, which is from the South Park creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker, which is a funny ass movie. If you've never seen it, it is definitely worth seeing. So that's one of those things where it's like, residual checks, and he likes the fact that he just randomly receives a check for random amounts of money when someone buys, rents, um, that movie, and he gets a certain point collection from that movie. That's super cool. Oh, and my child is now crying because she suffers from night terrors. So my wife will be getting her in just a second. So that's awesome. I don't know if anybody else who listens to the show has a young child that suffers from night terrors. Every time I console her, she looks at me like but like my wife is much more better, and she calms her down. She just easy. Treats her like a horse. I don't know if she gives her an apple. She has apples lying around. I've never seen apples in my house, so I don't know. No, I'm sure she doesn't do that. But ladies and gentlemen, aliens, whatever you identify as. Oh, and Obi-Wan Kenobi's nightstick. Thank you so much for saying that what I had posted was not the actual episode. And a few other people who've said a few things about the episode. Shout out to ladies that work at the infirmary who took down my information. Check out the podcast. Appreciate you. Shout out to the American listeners. Shout out to everyone. And please like, share, subscribe to the show because the show only grows, and I only do the show because of people like you who actually invest in the time to hear me talk from time to time. And I really appreciate that because sometimes I may do a show you want, and sometimes, like, I please nobody. So basically, it's like I'm married to you in a horrible marriage that neither one of us can afford to let go of. All right. Y'all have a safe and wonderful night. Peace.